What's going on, good Wolvians out there? It is your main man in black, Badwolf, Badwolf. That's me, or a little madman in his little blue box. The world is mine. Actually, the world is ours. But let's talk about something interesting. So, what's funny is that so does not look right. But anyway, what are you gonna do? We talk about the bullshit that they do towards us, and they talk about what we they do towards us. They do towards us, we do towards them. What am I talking about? The straw man versus the sovereign citizen. Let's talk about it. So, the straw man, as we now know, is our interpretation of what is really a legal person, a juridical person, a term of art, the non-living debtor. The sovereign citizen is also not a real thing. Well, the difference is that the straw man, the legal person, is a real fiction. It's a real fake. No, seriously, it is. When you see your name in all capitalized letters on the state level and lower, you have to hold on a second until it clears up. Resources are being drawn. You have to realize that the straw man is a fiction, something that's not real, but created as a term of art to be a legal person, a mask for their system. So it is a real thing, but they don't call it the straw man. They're either going to refer to it as the trust or the estate. And a lot of them don't even really know that much. Go ahead, ask your average police officer. He's not going to know that. He's just going to say you're crazy. There's nothing there. But yet, we've already proven that when you use that straw man or legal person or legal fiction or fictional person, Latin is your nom de gore, your war name, that it is in fact under conspicuous format, which is what the government refers to as a ceremony or ceremonial name or capitalization religious. Hold on. This still funny. Hold on. All right, I think we're back. This must be their latest game here to play with my computer and make it go all wonky and stuff. But it's whatever, nothing new. Fun, fun. So the legal person is the legal person a sovereign citizen? No, the legal person is an actual member who happens to have the same spelling as your name, but the topography or what it looks like is different. And as the government talks about in their GPO style manual, this is considered ceremonial use or tradition use, meaning that there's something different going on here. We don't use it. Our capitalized letters on the government level just mean it's easier to see for the most part because they operate under the Constitution. The states who use this capitis demutio maxima this conspicuous format, this legal person, the legal etymology of what it looks like, or no, not etymology, t- topography. The legal topography has certain ceremonial signs and usages and customary usages. So that means that there is something more behind it. It doesn't just mean it's a nothing sitting there. It means that there's something there, whether you know about it or not. Now, the sovereign citizen is a fiction. It's never been enumerated. It's not a law. It doesn't appear anywhere in the code. It's a word of mouth. It's the N word of their world. It's their way of saying, "Oh, look at one of our 14th Amendment U.S. citizens." How do I know he's that? Because I have his name on my computer. If I can find your name in the computer, then you must be one of our members. So they know you're a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. And now you're trying to do what? Some kind of harebrained status correction with our department that doesn't do status correction. You can't go to your Social Security Administration office and say, "Oh, I want to do the SS5 process and I want to change my status." Because legally, they've formulated a response to that by saying, "We can't change your status here." Denied. Because in actuality, the Department of Immigrations, you, or certain renunciations, etc., are the only way to do that. What you're doing there is you're updating the record. That's it. So a sovereign is who you are in the private, but with the adage of citizen behind it, or citus, which means property of the city, owned by the state, owned by the thing, which no living thing, according to the UCC, can own a living thing. A rock cannot own you. So they came up with their own version of the N word for people who are 14th Amendment citizens from their perspective, who are trying to escape the system, trying to change the system, trying to do something outside of their rules and codes. They don't like that you're now leaving their monopoly game, which you absolutely have a right to do. But in some of their systems, you do not have a right to try to change the straw man into a state citizen or a national. Some systems you can depict yourself correctly in there by updating your information. You're not changing your status there, you're just updating the information legally. You cannot change the straw man, which is a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen and instrumentality of the United States corporation, into a national. It will always be a U.S. citizen. However, if you want to play by the law, where it says that a national can be a citizen can be a national, vice versa, whatever. What they're really saying there is that you, as a living being, have the ability to regard yourself as a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. The 14th Amendment U.S. citizen, that is your all capitalized name, in fact, is not yours to pull out of their jurisdiction. It has some rights and privileges where it can be kind of used as if it's a national, but by intrinsic law, it cannot be a national or state citizen. It's not living, it's not organic, it's not natural. National, natural. It is not a natural thing. It is a term of art. There is no process to, within the powers of man presently, to take something truly dead and give it life and animate it and bring it into the positive, natural, de jure world of the living. It's a dead thing. It'll always be a dead thing. But are there moments where you can kind of edge it towards having some of the living properties? Yeah. But it'll always be a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. You, on the other hand, are always a national unless you give that up the proper way. But you can mask that 14th Amendment U.S. citizen on your face and then operate in their world as if you were really it. So they created the term sovereign citizen to apply to those who are not exiting the system the correct way. The tryhards, the blueberries, the wannabes, the half steppers, the people against the government or the states, which is not us, for the record. But instead of the FBI or the police legal department or whoever appropriately distinguishing that if everything is done correctly and those private individuals, private citizens, nationals, national of the United States, foreign nationals, non-residents, etc., do it correctly, you should not be calling them sovereign citizens. You should not be prosecuting. You shouldn't be doing anything to them unless they break the law. They have a right to operate and to exist, to live, domicile in a different bubble. The original bubble, the big bubble. They're playing the Monopoly game like this. Nope, there's nothing outside of my can't. So when y'all start to wake up and you're like, in a minute, there's a whole world. Let me get this mask off. Now you start to see the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. The real world. Welcome to the real world, Neo. So, because there are certain people within their ranks, and they've been dealing with people like us trying to be free and leave the matrix or the system, the statutory system, their bubble, maritime admiralty jurisdiction, back into constitutional world and reality, they started saying, well, these people are sovereign citizens. Where when the Constitution and other things that reference that citizens are the sovereigns, they took that beautiful word and turned it into the N word. And they said, well, anybody trying to do that stuff is one of those, one of them. But that's not true. Not all the people that want their freedoms are anywhere even remotely dangerous to anybody, nor the government, nor any police officers. But they don't want to say the true words. They don't want to say the true event is that there are some radical people out there who are against the establishment and whatever else. And those people are individuals. Now, the problem is here's where it gets muddy. Some of those people see some of the stuff I do with certain other people, and they say, well, I'm going to use some of this to then be against them. That's the problem. The other part of the problem is that the courts, police, three-letter agencies don't distinguish that there are private citizens who just want to be left alone. We don't want to be in your political subdivision. We have that as a right. It's called the Constitution. Computer, is the Constitution the highest law in the United States of America?
Yes, the Constitution is the supreme law of the United States, taking precedence over all federal and state statutes.
Well, shebang, shebang. Thank you for the information.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
And that's a Mauska tool we're going to use for later. So once again, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Are you hearing this? That means there is no law higher than it, which then means anything underneath it, though allowed to exist, is inferior. That means the courts that are less than are inferior. Police officers are inferior. Not all of them, like mentally, I'm just saying their position compared to a marshal who is lawful or a sheriff if they operate lawfully. A lot of them don't. A lot of them operate statutorily. Any police officer, sheriff, marshal, etc., anybody out there who has taken an oath to the Constitution, and I know you have, some of y'all don't have your oaths of office on file. You can be sued and prosecuted for that. You're all supposed to have one on file as you operate as a foreign agent under FARA, FARA, Foreign Agent Registration Act. And it has to be your full first and middle and last name, or it's not valid. And then you take an oath to the bar or to your other little agencies. That's technically a conflict of interest, but they allow it as long as you know that the superior law is the Constitution that you took an oath to protect the American people over the statutes. That's what that means. You took an oath to protect the American living person over statutes and codes first. Statutes and codes come secondary, but they don't teach them that. The courts can operate under what? Statutory law, common law, a little bit of equity. The police officers can operate under the Constitution for the state, the Constitution for the United States of America, or statutorily. Sheriffs and all of them damn near the same thing. I think marshals are one of the only ones and above are the only ones who only take an oath to the Constitution and their agency and their own little marshal membership stuff. But these other ones, they're given two different capacities. And guess what benefits them and the courts? Primarily the judges. They send the cops out to do the dirty work and to be the dicks. Oh, don't listen to those citizens. Just write tickets and see what sticks because it makes them money. Each time a cop writes a ticket, they're making thousands of dollars. Ooh, good for you, Mr. Officer. You get a watch in 20 years. Gold plated. Meanwhile, you've made a lot of enemies of your fellow Americans and nationals. Same thing for anybody who operates non constitutionally. People are waking up. And some people may come a knocking, so to speak. I'm just saying that to protect you guys because people are getting real tired of the courts forced telling you guys to be Billy Badass, and then they're getting whomped on the side of the neck, and then the courts secretly make all this money. You guys look like the bad guys. They look like, oh well, the cop did it to you. They brought us the problem, so we had to deal with it. Y'all are getting played. Now, I'm not telling you cops out there. I know you guys watch my videos. A lot of you guys, more than I actually knew at first. That's kind of, whatever. But I'm just telling you guys that they're playing y'all. I'm not saying quit your job. I'm just saying you need to understand that if somebody is moving the correct way, leave them alone so you don't get sued or bothered in the private. But if someone's not moving right, they're doing something criminal, or they're in the act thereof of a crime, or they're depriving somebody of their constitutional rights, and absolutely do your job. Thank you in advance. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to keep it honest. Draw the line. I believe you guys call it the blue line. So, with that being said, guys, the straw man is a fiction, but it's a recognized fiction within their juridical bubble. That's within our bubble. The sovereign citizen is a oxymoron. You can't be sovereign, which is king or a god, and then also be citus or property of the city. Can't be a king slave. So that's it, guys. Not a very long video, but just one to bring those two things together and point them out. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.